After being cast as number 2 in Stranger Things, I had so many people reach out to me saying, I'm ready, please go send my information to casting and to Netflix. And that made me realize that so many people are just so confused on how to actually get started as an actor. So I wanted to make a video just really detailing how you can actually get an audition for Netflix in 2024. Don't reach out directly to actors or casting. I didn't even know what they were casting in season 4, let alone what I know in season 5. I don't have that kind of pool. If you want to get a principal role, the only way to do it is to have an agent. There's no clever workaround. They only send these principal audition roles out to agents. Otherwise, they'd get a ton of terrible tapes from people that just don't know what they're doing. The fact you don't have an agent shows you don't have the experience yet because you've not yet created something so alluring, so good that when you send your materials to an agent, they have to have you. A lot in the beginning phases is not only figuring out what your strengths are and how to capture them, but just trying to get as much footage of yourself as you can, even if it's just with like your phone, which is what I did. I created a bunch of random clips, and actually I just auditioned for the biggest project of my entire career. My agent specifically said, this reminded me so much of that one clip you made in that first reel that I found of yours.
Stop, please, I don't want to die.
That one little scene is so good that my agent even now still remembered it. What you just saw is not high production value. It's just a random thing I made, but the performance was so good, it drew her attention. Until you're able to do that, you are just not ready. It may feel like I'm purely directing this at US-based actors. While there are slight differences country to country, in essence, it's still a very similar process. If you're in the UK, any part of Europe, Canada, India, East Asia, you're going to need to put yourself out there, eventually get localized representation, and then they will be able to submit you for projects. If you're specifically wanting to work in actual Hollywood in the US, you're still gonna have to do that from your localized agency and start building a little bit of rapport, a little bit of a body of work that will eventually help you qualify for a work visa to come over and work on US-based projects. Even after you get an agent, you're gonna need to settle into the reality that it's going to take a long time to even get that first booking. If you're over here watching this video purely because you want the money and you want to be famous, there is so much work that goes into honing the craft that if you're not falling in love specifically with the craft and none of this external crap, then you're not gonna have the sustainable motivation and passion to ever make this into reality. You have very, very lucky people that will book their first audition or that will book within their first like month or two of being signed by an agent. However, the vast majority of us, it takes way longer. And for me specifically, it took 2 years. And here's the really tough part about the auditioning period as well. You almost get no feedback at all unless you book the role. I spent the first 2 years thinking my performances must just suck because I'm never getting callbacks. You could literally be in the top 10 people and you just have no idea. I didn't even realize this until I booked my first role. I did my tape, a week later I was booked. And the exact same thing happened with my second project, FBI. The healthiest mentality to have is to really go into it from the perspective of, thank goodness I get to keep training my craft. And that way you're not relying on callbacks to feel like a good human being and a good actor. If you're feeling frustrated right now because you're like, I'm trying to figure out how to audition for Netflix right now, just go sign up for Actors Access. You will not have another site that has the most professional work and professional opportunities than Actors Access. And there are times where occasionally a character is so specific that casting directors do open it up to a larger array of people instead of only submitting it to agents. Backstage really is mainly for student films and for low budget short films. So don't think that Backstage is what you're gonna use to start your career. Backstage is what you're gonna use to basically have footage to eventually use to submit yourself for the things that can start your career. Now, I wanna talk about the benefit of being an extra, what you need to be really careful about, and then what I would say you should do instead of being an extra. This is another way you can get on these big sets. It's another way you can be involved in a Netflix show. Specifically notice what the principal actors are doing in front of the camera, and I guarantee you'll be surprised by how small it is. You'll probably look at them and be like, oh, they're literally doing nothing. What the heck? I could do better than that. You doing better than that is you going way over the top and overacting. And so it's important for you to see the real professionals having it so grounded and so subtle, because most of the time when you're starting out, you're going way, 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 way too big. Studios have recently been including an AI clause that gives them permission to use your likeness for AI generated avatars without paying you a dime. Be very careful about what contracts you sign. If a studio owns your likeness, kind of sucks for you going forward as an actor. Also, never put any extra work on your resume. No one in the world gives a crap about any of your extra experience. It's only valuable to you for gaining just insight into how the industry works. And if you need a little bit of extra money while you're trying to really focus on acting. The other benefit is you do sometimes get lucky. There have been many stories of an actor that started as an extra and then got thrown a couple of lines or got a little tiny speaking role that then catapulted them into other things later down the line. Something kind of like that actually did happen to me. I was supposed to be an extra in this high school dance scene in the show called The Gifted. And when I went for my wardrobe fitting, they thought, you look very similar to one of our leads, and upgraded me to photo double. What would have been one day of work, I ended up being brought on for an entire month and a half. And the really cool part about being a photo double on that set is I was photo doubling for Percy Hines White, who was under 17 at the time, which meant after his pumpkin time, which is industry slang for due to child labor laws, we've reached the time limit we're allowed to legally have him on set, I would just be put in to act with the main cast, where they would just have like my shoulder in the shot. So you could still see his character Andy was there, but it was actually me. And so there are lots of little body parts of mine scattered throughout the pilot of The Gifted. And they actually almost were going to fly me out to Atlanta to be his regular photo double for the rest of the season before he cut it and bleached it. I ended up making, I think $3,000 just from that 1 month. And it would have been so cool. So I auditioned for Tyler in season 1 of Wednesday, who is the second love interest for Wednesday opposite Xavier, played by Percy Hines White. And I actually got a call back for that. So I was this close to being a co-star with the guy I photo doubled for all the way back in high school. And that would have been really cool. Stand-in and photo double work is way more valuable and way more worth your time if you're able to. You get to interact with the cast. You get to see way more of the behind the scenes information. You're not just in extras holding bay waiting for them to need you. You're in the mix. You get to experience being right in front of the camera and kind of what that feels like. And then one last little thing I'll mention is reality TV, just because that is technically a way you could get on Netflix. However, I would urge against it, because I want you to right there sit and try to think about a reality star that has successfully branched into being a successful working actor. I literally know zero. More than anything, it would probably be something you would have to overcome than something that would add to your acting career. So that's why I mentioned in the beginning, if you're doing it for fame and all of that kind of stuff, okay, cool, maybe a reality show is fine. But if you're doing it for the love of the craft, be very careful about what you're signing on to. If you're interested in the financial side of how much you can make after booking some of these principal roles, click this video right here. It's a lot of money, but probably not as much as you would think.